Well, Brad, after the last couple of weeks off the field, are you kind of happy now that the footy's upon us?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking forward to it. Where there's that September feeling in the air in Melbourne. It's the weather starts to warm up a little bit, and we've qualified for another final series, and the weekend off's thrown a different challenge at us, but it's come at a good time for us. And our training session yesterday really indicated to me that the players are excited as I am for the finals this week, and we couldn't be more excited. So we're looking forward to it.
Are they refreshed, do you feel?
Yeah, it certainly helped us. I mean, we had a lot to digest over the last couple of weeks on and off field, and we've had some challenges with player availability, but the extra week's given a lot of those guys the opportunity to push forward, and we've had really good numbers on the track, both Friday and Monday in that session. So we're going to have a lot of decisions to make on that front, but we're probably in as good a spot as we've been in the second half of the year in terms of player freshness and player availability.
How close, Brad, do you think you are to getting back to your best footy?
Yeah, that's something we talked about with the players. I mean, we've certainly from the first half of the year we've had some guys unavailable, but we've been able to get games into other guys, and there's been, I think, some challenges in getting the team gelling as we did in the first half of the year. But the guys are really up for the challenge of trying to produce their best when it comes to finals footy. And the great thing about our football team is that we're really experienced. We've been in this exact same position before. We've won finals from 6th and 8th position, and we've won finals interstate. So there's a quiet level of comfort with our group that we can reproduce our best footy, and the coaches are working non-stop to make sure that we're really well prepared.
Is there an element of feeling, I know it's an elimination final, so there's plenty of pressure, but isn't there an element, considering you're going in to a game as underdogs, and given the past couple of weeks, that there is actually, the pressure is off North Melbourne at the moment?
I don't think the pressure's ever off in a final. We're excited about the opportunity, and it's going to be a real challenge going over to Adelaide, no doubt about that. But finals is a different style of footy, and we're really well prepared for that. The last couple of years have put us in really good stead, and the first 22 games are just about qualifying, and we've done that. So now we get an opportunity to go over and show what sort of a finals team we can be. So there's pressure on us like there's pressure on every other team.
You put a big emphasis, Brad, at the start of the year on making a fast start, headed into last September with a lot of momentum. Is there any concern that emphasis at the start of the year has left the team drained in the second half?
No, we were really focused then of not throwing the baby out with the bathwater either. We didn't want to get off to a really good start at the expense of being in good shape in the second half of the year. Some injuries have certainly challenged us in that regard, but the guys who have played the majority of the year, I think you can ask Andrew, they look in really good shape to me. Yesterday's training session showed just how sharp they look, and they're excited about finals, but they're also in a really good physical position. We're going to have some decisions to make around who we bring back in, because some guys have got to prove their fitness this week. But the guys who have played the majority of the season, I think, are in really good nick.
Do you think, I know you've played in Adelaide before, but being the finals and having a pro South Australian crowd, would that make it harder, you believe? The pressure, extra pressure?
No harder than playing interstate like we did last year and winning finals. So, we've qualified in 8th, so that leaves you vulnerable to an interstate final, but that's not insurmountable for us.
Jared Waite, Scott Thompson, I imagine that the two big likely ins this week, Brad, are they the ones that you perhaps see pushing for a spot? Yeah,
I think they'll both be available for selection, which is really pleasing for us. So we've got really good options there in terms of the guys that can come back in. But they're going to be big decisions, and it's far too early in the week to make a definitive call either way. We've got 3 training sessions to go for those guys to prove their fitness.
How much more complicated does it make, given that extra intensity of a final, when you're making those decisions?
A little bit, but I mean, every game's tough. We've made some calls this year that have backfired a little bit in terms of bringing guys back. But we're really conscious of, Waite and Thompson in particular have played some pretty good footy in really big games. So they're proven big game performance, so that'll come into calculation.
Is getting that forward line mix right going to be the toughest challenge if Jared is available?
One of them, but I mean, you've got bookends, both ends, Thompson and Waite. So the great thing is there's options, and while injury has interrupted our continuity a fair bit. It's also given opportunity to others. So it's going to be a tough decision, regardless of their fitness level.
Will Drew play?
Well, he's in the mix. Yeah. Drew's a quality finals performer. So he's done the job for us in big games before. Other players look to him. When we've needed something in a big game, he's stood up to the plate. So, his history tells you that he's a really important player for us.
You mentioned that the news, I guess, of the week probably caught up to him at just the worst possible time when he was playing. Are you confident he's in the right headspace now?
Yeah, well, he's mentioned that he probably let it get to him a little bit. He felt really good early in the game, but then his mind started to wander. So that's out of his system now. And come finals, it's an elimination final. So there's a big prize at the end of it, and the losers go home. So I'm really confident his focus will be where it needs to be.
And how hard would it be, Brad, to potentially leave out Majak Daw, one of your developing forwards, and really taking some great leaps this year?
Yeah, well, look, it'd be disappointing for him, but he's proven that he's going to be a really exciting player for us, not just now but into the future. But it's an elimination final, so we do what we need to do in the short term to get the job done. So that won't necessarily count against him, but I think he's shown this year what a bright future he's got at our club.
Andrew, how's the playing group feeling on the eve of finals?
Yeah, I think Brad mentioned before, I think having the week off actually has really worked in our favour. It's been a difficult couple of weeks, but I think everyone was a good chance to just refocus, get away, spend some time with some family, and the last couple of sessions that we've trained have been as good as we've trained all year.
How much of this final series is about doing it for the four blokes departing, or do you try and separate that?
Oh, you always want to send them off in the right way, but we've got a massive opportunity ahead of us. There'd be 10 teams at the moment that'd love to be in our position, and we're just really excited, for the challenge ahead of us, because it isn't going to be an easy task going over to Adelaide, but we've been there to finals and we've won big games, so we take a lot of confidence and just excited to really get ourselves up for the challenge.
Andrew, the AFL's yet to make a decision on whether to have the bye next season. So as a player, would you like to see a repeat of what's happened this year?
It depends on what position we are in next year. So at the start of the year, I would have said definitely no, but it's probably worked in our favour. I don't know, it's too early to really tell what they're going to do next year. And I think it all depends on where you sit.
Brad, any of the other guys coming back from long-term injuries, Ben Jacobs, Sam Wright, Mason Wood, are they any chance this week, or will you have to get deeper into the finals before they can be considered?
They're all at various stages of their recovery, but we haven't written off any of them. So they're all pushing really hard to try and get back. Mason did a fair volume of running yesterday. The other guys are at various stages in their recovery, but we've just stressed the importance of pushing right to the line, and to, if their rehab means that they're going to be ready in 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, then they go their absolute hardest at trying to be ready for that. The history's littered with players who come back in and do pretty special things at the pointy end of the season. So all of those guys are still in with an opportunity. As for this week, we'll have to balance the mix of guys coming back and just how many come back at the same time.
2 weeks now after the announcement on the veterans' futures, would you do anything different in hindsight, Brad?
I think there'll be a time for the in retrospect on all of that. But I think the most important thing has been to keep the focus in September where it needs to be, and that's with a really short-term focus. But all clubs are looking at short, medium, long-term, and how all that unfolds at different stages of the season is up to different clubs how they handle things. But I think honesty and integrity is critical in our game, and as far as being honest and upfront with the players, I've always tried to maintain that for them. But really pleasingly, led by our 4 veterans, our club's focus is on this weekend, and those boys have led the charge on that. Last night, all 4 boys spoke about how important this week is for us, and that's just solely where our focus needs to be. So that's where we're going to keep it. That's my job as coach, to keep it there. There'll be a time and a place to talk more about your question.
Did the Eagles perhaps show you a few things in round 23 that you might be able to take into this game?
They played really well. I think they played some pretty bold and aggressive footy. Really took it up to Adelaide, but I mean Adelaide have played some really good footy throughout the year too. So I think anything we can learn from West Coast, Adelaide will also learn from West Coast too. So we'll do our homework. We'll go over really well prepared. We've already played them twice this year, so we've got a fair insight to how they play, and vice versa them with us.
Without bringing up too many scars, your average losing margin at Adelaide was something like 50 odd points. What's the first thing you think of when you think of having to go there in front of 55? What inspires your thinking?
Small sample size, 2 games, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
Still.
Yeah, interstate finals I'll probably refer back to. North Melbourne hadn't won an interstate final until last year, so history was against us then too, and we prevailed. Obviously everyone's got a short-term focus going into the final series, but with our football club and the experience of our team, when you go into finals, it's a different kettle of fish. It's a different game. Interstate finals are different. The great thing is we've experienced that. The vast majority of our team who runs out Saturday night will have experienced exactly what they're going to get.
Andrew, can you draw parallels between this, I guess, the eve of this final series and the past two? Are there similarities, or does it feel like a different beast?
I think every season, every final series, there are some similarities, but there's also it is different. I suppose we've just got great confidence in that we've been able to win games from this position and win interstate. So we're excited. It was good to get out there, and the weather's starting to turn, and sort of makes the vibrancy of the place really good to be around. So yeah, we're just excited.
So the confidence level's as high this year as they have been in the past too?
Yeah, I think so. I think having just some time off to get away and get your head out of footy and come back and really refocus and refresh. I suppose everyone sees what a wonderful opportunity we do have in front of us.
Just a quick one on the ruck battle, Brad. Goldie, how's he tracking? He seemed to hit a bit of a flat spot there. Is he freshened up?
Yeah, look, he had that little knee niggle throughout the year, which physically our medicos said he's right to go, but I think even he would say that it affected him a little bit just in terms of his confidence and ability to jump and do all the things that makes him a really good player. No, but he's over all that now, and I think one of the things that all really good players look forward to is performing on the big stage, and Goldie's got his big stage now. His progression as a player from being a really good ruckman to the best ruckman in the competition, the biggest hurdle he had to get over to get to that point was his own mental state. He wanted to prove that he's up there with the best ruckman in the competition, if not the best, and now he wants to prove that he's a big time performer. So there's no one looking forward to this Saturday night more than Goldie.